now let's go to the agenda. So first of all, I will talk a little bit about where we come from, what we do. Some of you may already know, just some facts about our company and the history. Then we will talk about the pot dyeing, because this is how we also started at DyeMansion back in the days. Why there is a need for an industrial solution. So why should you actually switch from a pot to a DM60, for example? We collected 7 benefits that show why DeepDye coloring could be also very interesting for you and your customers. Comparison then, as Daniel explained, we just launched a white paper about exactly this topic. So we will highlight some of the tests and results that we gained in the past few weeks together with the R&D team. How you can get started with us. So DyeMansion, benchmarking, how you can get your parts finished. And then we will have enough time for a Q&A session. So again, my name is Max. You can call me Max. It's quicker, and everyone is used to call me like that, so that's fine for me. I have now 4+ years in 3D printing. Once I started at DyeMansion 4.5 years ago, I started in 3D printing, and of course, since then I gained experience in various industries from automotive to consumer goods. Yeah, so this is us. This is the DyeMansion, as we call ourselves. We are happy to say that as of today, we are the global leader in additive manufacturing finishing systems. And in general, what do? We turn 3D printed raw parts, so once they come out of the printer, into high-value end user products for different industries, of course. We were founded in 2015, are located in Munich, where we have our headquarters, and we are now also moving into our headquarters for North America or Americas, which is just out of Austin in Texas. And we are now roughly a little more than 60 people located in these 2 different facilities. That's it about the company. Let's go to the topic pot dyeing. So for me, this webinar is a very special one, because once I started at DyeMansion and once I started in 3D printing, state of the art was more or less like coloring parts in cooking pots. So this picture might be familiar to a few of you. This is exactly how I started in 3D printing. So yeah, it's basically a very easy process. You need some textile dye, parts, and a cooking pot, and then you can get color into or onto parts. So of course, every process has its pros and cons. Let's quickly have a look at the pros of a manual pot dyeing process. Of course, it's slow in terms of investment, so you can just buy a textile dye for just some euros. You need a cooking pot that can reach a certain temperature, and if you're lucky, you can find some YouTube tutorials about how you get along with this technology. So these are the pros, at least what we think could be seen as pros. What are then, on the other hand, cons? So and I know about these cons because I experienced them myself. So of course, it's a very labor-intensive trial and error. So especially if you think of different colors than black, you will need to find a recipe on your own. So you will simply try and fail, and this might take a long time. You have no certified hardware. I mean, your cooking pot might be certified, might have a CE mark, but you don't have any other certifications for this hardware, at least that is adequate for 3D printing. It's a manual process. So you have to clean the cooking pot afterwards. You have to make sure that there's no more color residue. You would change the color, for example. And you are strongly limited in terms of coloring in general. Yeah, I mean, you have some colors that you can buy, but if you think of color systems, special colors, corporate colors, you will never get those done in a cooking pot. Colors might fade quickly because, yeah, if you just use textile dye, you don't have any additives that could support the color to get it more UV or light and heat resistant. And if you think of special products that you would like to sell in the medical sector, for example, you will need some certifications around that to make sure that parts that come out of your cooking pot are certified. And as far as I know, this is a very, very heavy challenge. So yeah, this is another con. So why is there a need? I just spoke about different applications for different industries. If we look at this picture, we can see, for example, on the very right hand or very right side, we see a medical product. And our customers, they ask us, hey, I would like to sell a product in the medical field. Can you send me certifications around your color, and the materials that you use, because otherwise I'm not able to sell my product that should look like a product. So this is why color is so important into my market segment. And yeah, we can do that. So we can support you with all these relevant certifications. If you would like to sell your products in the eyewear industry, you will need some certifications around that as well. So if it's safe to use on skin, for example. Yeah, let's go to the benefits of the deep dye coloring process. So the process that happens in the DyeMansion DM60, our very first product. So we made the transition from pot to the DM60. So we know about the challenges. Correct, this is the product. For those of you who haven't seen it already, it's a pressure vessel basically where we use temperature and a little heat to infiltrate dye stuff into parts. The first benefit that I would like to talk about is that it's easy to operate. Why is it easy to operate? So the first topic is that it has an automatic cleaning cycle. So once your coloring process is finished, the machine empties itself, it cleans itself. So you can switch from one color to the other very easily without any risk of contamination of the other color. You can even do short cleaning modes in between if you have a critical color switch. The other benefit is, or the other topic in this benefit is that it works with a color cartridge system. So once we used cooking pots, it was a mess. We had like dye stuff all over the place, not only around the cooking pots, but also in our hands. So it was very messy. With a color cartridge system, we make sure that your workers or you as an operator does not get in contact with this dye stuff. And these cartridges, they are available in 4 sizes. So you just need to make sure that you have the right color cartridge size for the right amount of your parts, and then everything else happens automatically and can be seen as a plug-and-play solution. The next one is about limitless color choices. I mean, at DyeMansion, it's very obvious that it's all about color, right? So DyeMansion, so we take care of colors, and we love colors. So once we started, we had our 17 standard colors developed on SLS parts because back in the days we didn't have any MJF parts on the market. But as they are getting more and more popular, we are now also working very hard on standard colors for MJF parts. So there will be 17 for SLS, 17 for MJF in the future. We have our 170 RAL colors. And if you think of Pantone colors, we can also meet those and other color systems that are available. Just speak to us. We can try to get your color. And if you have a very special color, for example, like your corporate color or a color that cannot be found in these color systems, we can even tailor-make your color on your material and parts. So you have your corporate color on your 3D printed parts, for example. So these are, in general, the different areas that we have. If we go deeper into the limitless color choices, especially the individual colors, we have our in-house color matching that we are very proud of. So a lot of R&D capacities are going into this topic to make it possible, for example, for Under Armour to achieve a glacier gray. So this is a color that cannot be found in any color system. So it's a very special corporate color that they wanted their parts to be colored in. Pantone Classic Blue, if I remember correctly, this is actually the color of the year. So the color of the year 2020, and our jewelry customer, Boltenstern, based out of Vienna in Austria, they made a special collection around this color. So very happy to see that this is also being used in the industry. And then, of course, I'm very, very happy for this to be possible, is customized skin tones. So especially if you think of medical products that should be more recognized as a part of your body than a medical device, skin tones are, I think, very important and make it even better for the patient to accept and these medical pieces. Special colors with advanced properties is the benefit number 3. So, for example, we have some customers in the automotive industry, and they asked us, "Hey guys, we would like to introduce 3D printed parts into the interiors of automotives. Are you able to achieve these kind of requirements?" And we took our time and got into these requirements, and we are now able to offer a special color, which we call Automotive Black. It's part of the Colors X line. I will talk about this a little more later on. And then we have also for neon colors that we can now offer. Those are, as you can see, mainly used for, let's say, more the consumer. Number 4, flexible solution for various industries. So I would like to use this slide just to make sure that every one of you is kind of attracted. So of course, our main business lies in powder-based printing. So this is where we gain a lot of experience over the past years. But since the diversity on the market in terms of 3D printing technologies, materials is increasing, our customers are asking us for ways to color their parts or their prints. So this just should or serves as an overview of what different technologies or materials can be potentially introduced into the DyeMansion DM60. Number 5, DDC is a reproducible and traceable process. So as I said, the DyeMansion DM60 works with color cartridges. So basically it's a closed system. Why is it closed? Because we want to make sure that you cannot mess up the production part of it. So on these RFID chips, on these cartridges, sorry, we have RFID chips. These save process relevant parameters like the material, for example, that you would like to introduce, if it's a hard or a flexible polymer, the finish that your parts have, if it's a polyshot, so a mechanical treated surface, a vapor fused surface, or if it's a tumbled one, for example. And you just let us know about the recipe you would like to have, so the color, and we create these color cartridges in-house in Munich and send those to you. And all you have to do is simply, as I said, select your parts, take the color cartridge, scan it on the machine, and everything then happens automatically. Why is it traceable? Because of the RFID chip. So with this chip, we can track and trace the color cartridge back to the original batch that we received in our facilities. So if we talk about manufacturing, serial manufacturing, our customers tell us that this is mandatory. And I think you don't get it with a cooking pot. At least it's very hard to achieve. The next one is ISO certification for colors. So this is an overview of what we attacked already. And what I can say is that, yeah, in the next month and years, we will really focus a lot on these topics, because for other industries or manufacturing technologies and for other products in that we are around it or surrounded all day, we think we never ever think about these certifications, because we say, hey, I mean, this is something that I see as mandatory, and this is still something that needs to happen or needs to be taken care of in the 3D printing sector. As many of you know, it's about certification, about yeah, making sure that the quality is always the same, and this is exactly what you can find on this slide. So we take care about parts that are coming out of the DM60 are safe to use and can be recognized as real products, not only visually, but also technically. So if you have special requirements, just let us know, and we can speak to our R&D team and make sure that also your products are certified accordingly. Yeah, the final benefit that we collected is about, there is one slide missing, I guess. Maybe I deleted it, my fault. So this benefit is basically about the integration of the DM60 into our print to product workflow, as we call it. So this workflow works from left to right. So once your powder-based printer is finished, you have to clean your parts. This could be done in a pouch at sea, for example, automated and damage preventive. And then you decide if your application requires a mechanical process or a chemical process. Once you decided for that, parts can then be introduced into the DyeMansion DM60. So this is basically how your post-processing workflow could look like. And depending on the machine you use, it takes 3 to 4 hours in total to finish your products. Yeah, and we are of course very happy that that some customers already yeah, make use of it. So this is more to show the verticals, as you call it, that our technology is being used at the moment. We have on the consumer side, of course, a lot of eyewear brands. We have some very cool customers in the medical field that are working on orthosis and prosthesis part to make the life of people better. And of course, the biggest multiplier for the technology and for 3D printing in general, as we see it, is contract manufacturing, because they handle different parts, different geometries. They have very high demands because they need to sell their products into the market. So this is why we have a lot of customers sitting in this sector, but also some in the industrial and automotive, of course. Yeah, and if you make use of it, you can really achieve your high value end use product. It can be a shoe sole, it can be an automotive spare part for decentralized production. It can also be medical parts or eyewear parts. Yeah, and we make sure, or we together with you make sure that they look like a product in the end. So let's come to the tests and the results that we performed for the comparison. So this is basically the test setup. So the materials that we used for this test are the EOS PA2200, so the PA12 from EOS, and the HP 3D HR PA12. So these are the materials that we used. The dyeing was on the one hand the standard black DM Black 01, and on the other hand the conventional black textile dye that you can buy, for example, in a grocery store. We tried different finishes. So one finish was raw, meaning unfinished, so straight from the printer, just cleaned in the PowerShot C. And the other one was finished with a mechanical surfacing step, polyshot surfacing in the PowerShot S. So we took a look into the light and heat resistance of these parts and also into the color fastness. Before we come to these tests, I can already state that another test that is also part of the white paper that we launched is about scratch resistance, where we did not find a difference between the color, because this one is more surface related. So let's go into the first test that we performed. It's about the light and heat resistance. As you can see, the materials, the PA12 from EOS and the HP PA12. And what we did is we used a test. It's called the ISO 105 B06 and the method 3. So this is what we learned from our automotive customers, that they very often use this test. So you take the parts, leave it in a climate or weather chamber, you name it, for 135 hours, and you measure the difference or the deviation of color before and afterwards. And what we can see, and what is really interesting, is that with the pot dyeing, the color fading reaches values of a delta E deviation of around 18, while the DDC scores better values of around a delta E of 4. So it's a really big difference, as you can already also see on the pictures on your screen, hopefully, that the color with the pot dyeing fades a lot. And if you still need even more light and heat resistance for your parts, if you, as I said, would like to introduce parts into the automotives, then you can achieve those with the automotive black color, for example. Another test is about the washing part of it, or the color fastness and the washing part of it. That's the right way. What you do here is, in this test, that you dye parts, or the dyed parts are placed in a water bath with soap, together with some textiles, for example, cotton or polyester. And after a defined or fixed time, you take out these samples and also the textiles, and you measure the difference in terms of color before and after the bath. And you also measure how much of the dye stuff is absorbed by the textiles that have been in the dye bath as well. So if we now, so these values that you generate are then being transferred into grades, and these grades can be found on the rightmost column. And as we can see, if we look at the DM Black 01 part of it, we always reach grades of around 4 to 5, while for the textile dye, we also reach grades of 3 to 4. And what has to be said to these grades is, the higher the number, the better the result, meaning that there is just a little change in terms of color. If you would have a number or a value of 1, the change in color would be very big. Yeah, so let's go to the next slide. This is about color fastness again and the perspiration part of it. So this test examines the effect of perspiration on the durability of the color. So human perspiration can be either alkaline or acidic. So therefore, we set up a, let's say, similar test setup with the except that we used bath that had the corresponding pH values of either alkaline or acidic perspiration. And then again, you leave the parts in this solution or in this bath. And then you take out the parts again after a defined time. And then you again measure always the same, the color beforehand and afterwards, transfer the values into grades and express these, or into values and press these values into grades. And again, here we can see that the grades for the DM Black 01 always ranges between 4 and 5, while the change for the textile dyes also range between 3 and 5. So the difference is again not too high, but you can still see a difference in terms of color deviation for perspiration. Yeah, these are the 2 tests that we performed, or the 3 tests that we performed. If you would like to know more about the tests being performed, so a more detailed technical information, you can simply download the white paper in our on our website, or speak to us and the team. We can send it over. We have some other white papers if you don't get enough from white papers, some about dyeing SLS parts or different color options for white MJF parts, for example. How to get started with us? So what we offer is a free benchmarking service that we call DyeMansion. So you can send us parts, let us know your requirements and what you would like to see on your parts. We do the benchmark free of charge, send the parts back, you get a nice benchmark report, and then we can talk about the next steps. Or you use the on-demand finishing, so our small application development center, as we call it, for a small amount of parts and a certain period of time, we help you to make your application fly. And when the times change, we will be very happy to invite you to our facilities in Munich and in Austin to even do a live benchmark. So to really dive deep into the technology, talk to experts, and get your parts finished.